This person took a direct hit from a rocket and completely vanished from the face of the earth. My name is Adam Stasiak. I was a sergeant in the United States Army. I joined the reserves in 1999 and then decided to go active duty in 2003. I was stationed at Fort Drum from 2003 to 2009. First time I deployed, I was stationed at FOB Spiker, which is up into Crit. I was also stationed at FOB Mackenzie. And then my second deployment was from 2005 to 2006. That I was stationed at a little post called FOB Sites, and I was on post protection for that. Originally, I joined the military because I honestly had no direction in life. I needed something to do, and the military was there for me. From the reserves, I joined active duty because I ended up with a family and needed to support a wife and kids. I wasn't necessarily sure what to expect. I was expecting basic training to be as tough as it was. I went to Fort Knox in Kentucky. The first time I deployed, my job was convoy security, which meant driving around Iraq as equipment and supplies need to move around. You know, it was our job to protect the convoys. And while we were out on the road, we definitely saw I definitely saw some things that you would not see in a normal, everyday civilian world. While we were on a convoy, we had spent the night at a post in Mosul. We had gotten up the next day. We were going to be leaving the next day to go back to our original operating base. We got up, we went and had breakfast, and after breakfast, we went to our vehicles, we got in our vehicles, and just as we were leaving out of the gate, an insurgent had brought a bomb into the DFAC, the dining facility, and had detonated it. And it took out most of the DFAC and it killed a lot of people. But, you know, the thing that strikes me is the fact that I had just left that building. And we had friends that were still in the building, you know, when the blast went off. So, you know, that in a sense can affect you, you know. There were times where we would end up sitting on the side of the road for hours because there was an IED, an improvised explosive device, that an insurgent would plant on the side of the road, and we'd have to wait for EOD, the Explosive Ordnance Division, to come and either detonate it or take it out of there. So, I mean, you would sit on the side of the road for hours on high alert because those IEDs weren't just placed there to blow you up as you went by. They were also there to stop the convoy. So the convoy was just sitting there, and it's a sitting target. And, you know, convoy after convoy, we would deal with that. There's also another incident. I was coming back from the DFAC, the dining facility. They started attacking us with mortars. You know, I was running from the DFAC to my bunker, and I watched a human being, a person. I didn't personally know this person, but in that instance, it doesn't matter if you know that person or not. This person took a direct hit from a rocket and completely vanished from the face of the earth. I mean, there was nothing left. If you wanted to find this person, you couldn't. When I got to my bunker, and before the all clear was given, some of the information that was needed was they couldn't find. We all had a number Mine was S74. That was the number you gave in the bunker so they could mark you off and everybody. Well, of course, they couldn't find a person. And this person, I knew where this person was. I couldn't say anything though. To say that I was in shock is almost an understatement, because I was still, days, months, years later, I was still trying to process what I had seen. There are times where I think of it, yeah. There are still times where I see it, and it still blows my mind that something like that can happen, you know. This person I watched literally disappear. They're never coming back. Their mother, father, brothers, sisters, they're never going to see them again. In one way, it affected me because you know that there are things in war that are going to happen. You know there are things in war you're going to see. But when it actually happens and you actually see it, like I said, you're not prepared for it. And there are times where it pops up in the worst possible moments. When you're sitting there talking with friends, or when you're sitting there watching TV, this image of somebody just completely, they blew up. This image of somebody blowing up can just sneak right up on you, and it can steal a moment from you. You don't really think the amount of areas in your life that are affected. It's big, but in your lifetime it's actually kind of small. War is big, but in 42 years so far, it's been a smaller part of my life. For it being such a small part of my life, it had a huge impact on not just myself, but on my family and loved ones. It's affected my sleep. It's affected my attitude, my treatment towards others, and but it's also given me something to work very hard towards. When it comes to dealing with veterans with PTSD, sadly, it's the family and loved ones that suffer the most. But I think it also gives us veterans something to work hard for, to fix, to get that better sleep, to get control of our depression and anxiety and hypervigilance. And we have to use every tool that's available. And I know one tool that was available to me was my service dog, SSD Uncle Cameron. And he truly made it possible for me to start to live a better life. I could take SSD Uncle Cameron out into public, and we could, when I get anxious, he's there to help calm me down. When I get depressed, he's there to help lift me up. Using every tool that we can to combat PTSD is a big key to our success in getting better. And a service dog, to me, was an extremely large part to my success in getting better. One of the biggest things is to understand PTSD. There are so many people that don't understand what it really is and how it really affects people, and not just veterans, but rape victims and victims of domestic violence and gun violence. All PTSD as a whole is something that needs to be understood, because when it's not understood, the people that suffer from it can't get the help that they need, and they can't get better. The more that people understand PTSD, the better it will be for everybody, to include those with PTSD. When you've dealt with the situations that you deal with for months and months and months, it takes that toll. And people just really truly need to understand that even though we might be suffering, there's still hope. There's always hope.